Everyone, welcome to MGS Coaching Football. Thank you for watching my channel. I do really appreciate it. Non-subscribers, I'm really hoping that you'll be interested enough to want to push that button, seeing as how it's free. So in my continuing video series here on our version of three match that we call Cover 10, today I'm going to show you what I think most offenses at the collegiate, if not all, and certainly the professional level, and I would think even with all the spread offense in high school now, a lot of high school programs that we call the Dagger concept, right? You got a go route from number two, essentially clearing out a deep defender, most likely a safety, with followed by a dig route by number one. Okay. So today, in our Cover 10 3 match versus a 2x2, same as it's been for subscribers, so non-subscribers, is my first little tease. The Dagger concept, I'm going to show it to you on both sides, match and zone. Not that an offense would run the Dagger on both sides, okay, necessarily, but just how we would defend it on both the match and the zone side. And as you'll see, it ends up being fairly similar, just two different people covering the number two on either side. Okay, so I'll go through the assignments with you, which doesn't take long, and then a bulk of the video will be spent diagramming the Dagger concept, and then starting on the match side, how we would defend it, the coaching and teaching points that we give our players as they go through this process, what's involved from start to finish. And then we'll flip it and do the same thing on the zone side. And then ultimately we'll bring in the fourth rusher in our system, that's the rover, as well as our two inside linebackers and how they be affected by the Dagger concept. All right. So first up, we get the match side, the dime, right? So first of all, remembering that we determine the match side is the pass strength. So for us, Liz, then this is the match side, right? So the dime, he's going to carry the go route of number two. That's an automatic, right? He's got two vertical or out. So now the field corner is going to end up carrying the dig route of number one. The backer, which I mentioned, right, he'll be covered last. He's going to match up on number three, who in a 2x2 is the running back. Okay, unless there's an exchange, and number three could possibly be coming from the other side, especially if the back goes away from him. But please pay attention until we get to the diagram. And then the free safety, who our disguise is the way we line up. We try and give one picture to the quarterback and the guy in the press box, and we're really trying to affect the quarterback, obviously, right? The guy in the field. So he comes out, same picture. Sometimes we've had it where the quarterbacks don't even look, right? And no, that doesn't mean we're going to start changing the way we do things, but that's just, to me, that's mission accomplished. All right. So they'll get the same picture, but on the snap, right, if it's matches on the Liz side, then he's going to make a Roger call, and the safeties are going to spin to the right. So he'll make the carry call. He's got to carry number two's go route. So there's a little preview as to how we're going to play it on the zone side, right? Speaking of, on the zone side, our rover, who I alluded to at the beginning, right here, he's going to be that fourth rusher. So we'll talk about all the coaching points that we give him when we get to the diagram, but he's going to rush. Our Mike, right, on the zone side, he's the hook curl defender, and he's going to end up comboing number three. Okay, as we'll see, we call it a Dabo combo. That is him and the screw down safety, the whip. The boundary corner is the deep third on the zone side, but he's cluing too. Right, so as you'll see when we get to it, he sees two's vertical. That'll affect how he ends up playing number one. Okay, so he's going to end up having to carry number one's dig, same as the field corner. So as I said at the beginning, right, you'll see the similarities. It's just going to end up being two different defenders carrying number two on their side, basically. The whip is the screw down. He's the curl flat. He's going to end up, since there will be nobody, either one or two, I should say, in the curl or the flat from either side, he will end up being in combo on number 3. Okay? So the assignment portion of this is the shortest. Please remember our motto, easier teaching equals easier learning. So the first thing I'll do in green, right, the defenders are in red and the offense, the receivers are in black, is I will diagram the dagger concept in green just to get it up there on the board. So the dagger concept, right, they don't run in straight lines, right? We know that, but they'll be drawn in a straight line. He will avoid. He's essentially running that go route. Now, obviously, there are other things involved. If there's a 1 high look versus a 2 high look, it'll impact what the coordinator might want him to do. We're just going to diagram a go route. Number 1. Okay, and again, the depth can vary, but we'll say at this point, start the break to the post at 14, at 16, bend it into the middle, right? Hence the dig route. Same thing over here. Just run the go. And again, we know they're not likely to do that. I'm just going to do it so you can see how it's defended on both the match and the zone side. Okay? And I'll give you the different things that the running back could do and how we would defend that. So there it is, up on the board. So let's start off with the major coaching points. Okay? The 4 pass defenders on the match side, even though he's spinning middle and he ends up being part of the zone side. All starts with their portion of the surface, which in the 3-4, it's the uncovered lineman. So these 4 defenders are going to read and react to the guard. Okay, the guard on their side. That's their portion of the surface. Okay, non-subscribers, you want to know all those specifics? Please push that button. So this guard is going to show them that it's pass. Okay, whether he's looking outside, inside, he's going to give them the hi-hat read, right? So that's where it all begins. Okay, even though they might be carrying and end up playing technically, right, matching up man coverage with zone leverage, they still got to read whether or not it's pass because they got to also defend the run. Okay, boom, done. So this is likely to be a 5-step concept since it's a deep route concept. So here it is, right? We got pass. There's the first coaching point. Next coaching point. Normally, okay, our dime would not be lined up in an outside shade. We call that Disney, getting Disney outside. So it's the opposite of what he normally does. All right, just call it Disney. By being in Disney, he can clearly see number 2 as well as the guard. And since he has to carry a vertical, that's kind of important, right? You don't want to have the guy you got to carry on a vertical potentially to your back. So that's a coaching point. And that's an automatic. He lines up an outside shade. So he sees, he's roughly 3 to 4 yards. So he's got time to react as well to answer that question. Okay. He's gone a tempo. He's got him vertical or out, right? That's the match rule. So now as he starts buzzing up the field, he's got to stay in phase, hip to hip minimum. If not, be slightly hip in front. You don't want to be too far because then the guy breaks a comeback or an out. You're in some trouble. Especially if it's a timing and the quarterback's already got the ball on the way, so he hits him on the break, you guys are going to have no chance. So at least be in phase hip to hip. Okay? So that takes care of that one. The corner has 1 vertical or out, right? Match side. Same thing. He's going to zit step. He's 1 by 7. It is a freebie, non-subscribers. He sees its pass by coaches doing their jobs properly and having all these tendencies broken down as part of the game plan scouting report. Your players are anticipating this, plus you've made a call that puts them in a position to be prepared to defend this, right? So he's tempo pedaling. He maintains the zone leverage, right? It's man coverage with zone leverage, and he carries keeping the dig in front of him riding what we call the upfield shoulder. So you're in a position to defend and make a play in the ball. And if the ball's off target at all, you have a chance to make a play in the ball as well. Okay, so that is how we will cover the two verticals, a go and a dig on the match side. Pretty basic, right? Pretty basic. Meanwhile, pre-snap, okay, Liz, Roger, carry. So all this gets communicated. We use hand signals as well. I'm not going to go tell you what those are, obviously. But when you're watching film, there's no sound, so I don't want any player to give the player the out. I said it. Well, did you signal? We can see that on film. So make sure you come up with some kind of simple signals and make sure, insist your players do it. Every rep in practice, then they'll do that in the game. All right, so he's made all those calls. He's made those signals. He's echoed it, made the signals to the corner. Okay, so the corner knows that if two's vertical, it will be carried by the free safety. If the free safety doesn't signal that and two goes vertical, the corner's got to carry it. And now if you got two verticals, you got a bit of a problem, right? So this communication, it's a world of it. When it breaks down, we're all in trouble, right? So on the snap, he's reading the guard as well. If it's a run, he'll fit into the run. But when he sees that pass, boom, he's spinning and he's got his eyes on two. He's cluing two. He sees that two's vertical. Now he's got to get himself in a position. At that point, you get out of pedals. You'd even get out of crossovers. Just turn and freaking run, baby. Keeping that head on a swivel so you can see the quarterback. But you got to get on your horse to cap that route, right? You got to get on top of that route. You got inside out leverage on it. All right. Now, we teach coaching point. We teach our safeties. We teach them both in case they switch the pass strength. So now they'd be spinning left, right? Louis. You anticipate you got no help, which means you anticipate that one is vertical or one is vertical. And if one's vertical, that's going to eat up your corner. So there's no inside-outside bracket here is what I'm saying. So if this go route were to turn, sorry I did it in black, but if it were to turn in a corner route, your free safety's got to get there. That's the point, right? It's a go, it's a post, it's a corner, it becomes a comeback or a deep out at 15, it ends up being him. These are the concepts that are more difficult to cover on the zone side. Match side's kind of simple by comparison. Because in the Dagger, right, so if they were to do any other type of concept, okay, the only guy who'd be available to the zone side is the middle safety, right? So from that standpoint, at least you've got a consistency of if they run the Dagger zone, you'll always have the middle safety for help because he's carrying two, okay? It's the other potentials with comebacks and whatnot that if you don't do a good job disguising and mixing up when you run three match versus your quarters match and so forth, then the offensive coordinator can get you in the crosshairs, right? So you got to know your opponent as well. So now, cluing two, right? He's reading this one. He's seeing his part of the surface, which is the uncovered guard on his side. They're reading the uncovered guard on their side. The only guy who isn't is a rover, and he's technically not in coverage. Okay, and I'll get to all the coaching points we give to the rover in due time. But these three, so your deep third, your screw down, curl flat, and your hook curl defenders, they're all reading this uncovered guard. So same thing. He gets the hi-hat. We all know it's pass. He's screwing down regardless, right? It's sky support, but he reads pass. So now as he's screwing down, he's got to defend the curl first, flat second, and then it's combo number 3. So as he's coming down, two's going to avoid him. If he can get hands on him, fantastic. So as he's coming down, he's seeing two. We say, if you can reroute two, please do. And that's how we phrase it in rhymes. Reroute, if you can reroute two, please do. And we phrase it if. Because I don't want him running, chasing just to get hand, and that takes him out of position. If you can reroute two, please do. Okay, so that's what we teach him. If you can reroute two, please do. And that's consistent because we're a big reroute defense. We don't chase people to reroute them, but if you can reroute two, please do. Right? And obviously that doesn't rhyme with ones or threes, but if you can reroute, please do it. Okay? Even without the rhyme. So he's there. Now he gets his eyes outside. One's vertical. Okay? So now, with 1 and 2 vertical, he's now in Dabo mode. So now his eyes go to number 3. So we're going to get off of him for a minute. We'll come back to the whip, and then we'll bring in the mic, and we'll take care of the rush rover. How does this impact the boundary corner, who's cluing 2? He's cluing 2 after the guard. So you go from surface to 2, right? Surface to 2. He's tempo pedaling. He sees that number 2 is running as fast as he can. So that the stem route, the get off from a receiver is always a tell for you. If he's supposed to get to this point, he's got to be on his horse. He's got to be running full speed, baby. And you teach your defenders how to read hips and what we call lead leg indicators and all those things, right? I don't have enough time to get into that many details. So he knows that 2's vertical, so now he's all about, he's got to match up on, even though he's a zone defender, he's got to match up on any vertical from number 1. Because he knows number 2 is going to be carried by the free safety. So now he gets in the in phase, and his technique is the same as the field corners in that he will maintain man coverage with zone leverage, keeping the receiver in front of him, ride the upfield shoulder, be able to make a play. Because nobody else underneath is in a position to play the dig. And in the dagger concept, they're trying to hit that dig. I mean, they'll take the go if it's there, obviously, take the touchdown, but the anticipation is what the dig's going to be open. Okay? So it's a slight tweak, like I've been saying. The difference on the zone and the match side, how we play dagger, is who's covering 2. Outside linebacker on the match side, the spinning safety to the middle, rotating safety on the zone side. Okay, so now let's get down to, first we'll take care of our rover, the rush, the 4th rusher. Coaching points. This is a different type of body. He's a bigger, longer kid. Every single snap with a tight end, we got knockback. All right, we are all about knocking back tight ends. Huge. So now he doesn't see the guard. His focus is the tight end. Okay? So he's relying on pass calls that he's going to get and insist your guys make calls in every rep in practice. If not, just something as simple as 5 up, down, 6 up, down, 2 up, something. There's got to be a consequence. And very quickly, you'll change that habit, okay? So the teaching point now is, so the tight end's trying to get away real fast because he's supposed to be, 15, 20 yards downfield. So the coaching point is move your feet, but as soon as your hips turn, let them go. If your shoulders turn and your hips don't, you let them go. So if your body, and normally when the upper body turns, the hips turn with, and when that happens, just let them go because now you got to rush. Okay? So what's meant by read rush? Not always, but normally. Built into our cover 10-3 matches, the defensive end on the side of the rover or opposite the pass strength, right? So Liz, it's going to be the stud. We stay left and right. Non-subscribers, another freebie. What's meant by the read, okay? He's going to be in the B gap. So after you've knocked back, then you turn, so now it's rush time. The first thing we want you to do is try and get speed up the field. Beat them with speed. And if you can get across the top of them, right, finish the circle, beat them with speed, do that. Okay, that's option one. Option two, if the offensive tackle has vertically set and he's ready for that, then we give our rover the green light to duck underneath. We got to speed up the clock. You got to get the quarterback itchy, get him off his launch point. Don't just let him get comfortable, stand back there and wait for things to develop. So we do that and we teach that, and there are simple drills to do that in other videos. Okay, so that takes care of the read rush. So now let's get to the all-important dabo. Okay, hook curl. Okay, the hook is typically from the hash to the football, roughly, right? I had hash marks up here. That's the hook area, the curl from roughly, right? Hash, maybe top of the numbers, and then everything else is the flat area. And we're not even talking about the no cover 5 zone, 5 yards, right? So now we got no threats to either the curl or the flat for the time being. So this is our match 3 guy, hook curl guy, right? Curl flat who's screwed down, right? So number 3, I purposely put it in pistol, right? He can go either way. If he comes to the match defender, he takes him. I mean, he matches him, right? Boom, done. So if he blocks, add to the key rush. So what that means is the defensive end on the pass string side here, he's going to be rushing C gap. We teach our nose. Quarterback is right-handed. Sorry, I got really bad handwriting. Really bad, right? You're going to rush the gap side of his throwing hand. So right-handed quarterback, we want you to rush the left A gap. So now in this case, if number 3 is in the protection, you're going to rush the B gap. We add you to the rush. So now you just went from a 4-man rush to a 5-man rush. That's what the protection told you. And it's more likely than not, it'll be a 6-man protection. Okay? He's blocking you. Let's just assume that's the protection. Okay? So if you rush, he's got to stay in. If you don't rush, then he'll check release, right? But bottom line is, he comes to you, you take him. So how does that affect the dabo combo, right? If number 3 goes away, he's going to spy, or what we call mirror, which is just a technique for if the quarterback's here, you're here. If the quarterback moves here, you move with him. Be in his mirror so he sees you in front of him. He sees he's being spied. We want that. Okay, because some guys, it makes them even itchier. Makes them even more nervous. Okay? So that's how he's affected. As he's coming down, number 3 goes away. We basically just say, you got to find work, man. Read the quarterback. If the quarterback breaks the pocket, now you're an extra spy. Right? So understand, we have the dagger on both sides here. So there aren't threats coming from the other side, right? So that's not a part of this video. If there were threats from the other side, I would bring that in. When I get the full field concepts, that will be taught to you to answer that question. Okay? This video is specifically how to defend the dagger on both sides. So I've got that drawn for you so you can use it for comparison. Now, obviously, if number 3 comes to the combo, right, the dabo combo, to the hook curl flat defenders, if he releases in, well, now our curl flat guy goes and gets him, and he can still, excuse me, chase over here because now he will become the mirror, right? That's how it works. See the green? They're like on a rope. Now we got two guys who potentially have the back and the flat. If he's forced to break the protection, then he becomes a secondary contain. He's still going to be the spy. If he fits in the protection, he adds to the rush. He's still going to be the spy. You see how this works? So these guys have the same rules, whether they're hook curl or match three. When it comes to if three's in the backfield, then nobody else becomes number three per an exchange. And that's also part of this, right? There are no exchanges here. This exchange occurs so far downfield that at that point, you just got to stay with it. Remember, anything over 10, that's a vertical. You got it. You own it. I haven't gotten to big scissor concepts down the field, which can be covered a little bit differently if you guys can handle it. We're not there yet. Okay? So that's how we defend what we call the dagger concept on both the match and the zone sides. Those are all the various coaching points that I have time to give you. If you ever have any questions about anything from the video or that was not presented in this particular video, please feel free to reach out to me at coachmjsullivan@gmail.com because I would love to talk football with you.